fragrances with unbelievably sexy scent trails. So you want to leave a nice trail of whatever smell you're wearing behind you, good projection. This list pretty much tackles all that, and as always, all the fragrances I mentioned will be available in the Amazon associate links down in the description below. I'm going to start with more of a niche option, which is from Javoy, specifically Pavon Rouge. It's kind of like a much stronger version of Replica Jazz Club. Boozy, tobacco, leather, pretty much any heavy notes that you could think of. There's spices in here as well. This is a really strong fragrance, not for everyone, but definitely attractive. Definitely, if you want to go for that kind of smoky, cabaret, mysterious type of vibe, this will do just that. This is definitely more of a 8 to 9 hour longevity type of fragrance. Projection is really, really good. The scent trail, it's just going to follow you around all day. And it pretty much won't fade until, again, like 9 hours later. It just has, again, pretty much every strong note you can think of put into one fragrance. So definitely not for the weak of heart, but again, if you do like those stronger notes, this will be a nice option. If this is a bit too strong for you, then taking a little bit of a step down. Also, if you prefer some sweeter types of fragrances, Sultan from Parfum de Mali, this is still a pretty strong fragrance. Probably about 8 hours longevity. I always think of this as a kind of wintry type of fragrance. It has a nice citrusy opening, has some cardamom for spice, but primarily you have this warm sweetness mixed with the spice, and it's just good for cold weather. I couldn't really see wearing this too much in hot weather, but just because it's so heavy. But this leaves a very, very nice scent trail. Great sillage, pretty much great everything with this. It's just a really good performer. Some people are not too big on the sweetness that it has. It does have relatively prominent sweetness, but I wouldn't say it's crazy strong. It's just something you have to keep in mind, if you're not crazy about that sort of thing. But again, really long lasting, nice mix of sweet and spicy, and especially good for cold weather or just for the evening. But this is definitely a very high-class kind of luxury option here if you want to get a fragrance that's, maybe for special occasions or something like that. Moving on from this one, another one that's pretty strong, but not quite as strong, a little bit more on the lighter side, if you want to say that, from Sultan, specifically Amber Sultan. This is primarily a resin balsamic type of fragrance. It's kind of particular. If you don't like resins and balsams, you're probably not going to like this because that's all that this is. Primarily you're getting amber, myrrh. There's no frankincense, but I always kind of say that it smells a little bit like frankincense. And it just has a general smokiness and heaviness and thickness to it. No sweetness at all. It's actually almost a dry type of fragrance, and again, a little bit smoky and exotic smelling. This is about a 7-hour fragrance. It has a really nice scent trail. It has, again, that smokiness to it, kind of follows you around. Has a mysterious vibe to it a little bit. This is actually a unisex fragrance, but it's definitely masculine leaning. And definitely something you would want to kind of reserve either for cold weather or for the evening. You wouldn't want to wear this in hot weather just because this is a really, really warm fragrance already. So not super versatile, but it does smell really nice if you're into the whole resins and smokiness type of thing. If you're not into this type of thing, then another option, this is actually one of my favorites. Satin Mood. This is another unisex option. This is a mix of oud and Turkish rose. first of all, if you don't like oud, you're probably not going to like this just because the oud is relatively strong. I think it's a really nice smelling fragrance overall. The kind of heaviness and muskiness of the oud in combination with the rose, and the rose is vaguely sweet, but mostly a crisp, cold type of note here. You blend those together, you create a kind of delicious concoction of scent, I guess. This is very strong as well. It has that kind of heavy curtain of musk, basically. So this will follow you around all day. This is like a 9 to 10 hour fragrance. Really good projection. People throughout a room will be able to smell this on you. At the same time, it doesn't have that kind of show-offy vibe. It's actually a pretty sophisticated smelling fragrance. Very luxurious, collected, put together, that sort of thing. So again, you just have to know that you like oud because it's a pretty musky, heavy, woodsy note. And some people say this is a little bit feminine leaning. I kind of disagree. If anything, I would actually say it's a little bit masculine leaning as a unisex fragrance, but I guess it kind of depends on one's preferences, but it's still pretty much right down the middle for unisex. Moving on from this one, going to one that is really, really rugged and very strong. Tom Ford Tobacco Oud. This is definitely something you really, really have to like oud and tobacco to really enjoy. But this is super strong. The projection on this, the scent trail on this will just be wafting around you all day, all night. This is like a 10-hour, maybe even 11-hour fragrance. Really intense, which is obvious because, again, tobacco and oud are both naturally very intense notes. Now, in terms of both of the notes, I would say that the oud is actually stronger than the tobacco in this fragrance. It kind of overpowers it a little bit, just because that oud is so naturally musky and naturally woodsy. But the tobacco is still there, obviously. It has that kind of background smokiness that adds more warmth, more texture, more character to the overall fragrance. But again, don't expect this to be a tobacco dominant fragrance because it's more of an oud dominant fragrance. But besides that, this is, again, not for the weak of heart. It's one of the most intense fragrances out there. But other than that, that is pretty much my list here of men's fragrances that have really, really good scent trails. But that is pretty much my list here for this video. If you enjoyed it, of course, you can always leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I make videos like these throughout the week, so stick around for those.